Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, to tell you about my friend's music record shop. Find them at 4191A Manchester Avenue in the heart of the Grove, right between the demo and the ready room. This Friday, they've got brand new records coming in from Sam Smith, Rush, All Them Witches, Ween, Daughter, Funkadelic, Little Dragon, Misfits, Danzig, Ice Cube, and a whole lot more. All purchases are 10% off. Free beer from Four Hands Brewery. They'll have vinyl spinning and all kinds of other things going on. They do a lot of in-store performances on Saturdays. Find all that information and more on their Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, musicrecordshop.com.
Hey everybody, this is Adam Ray, comedian, actor, philanthropist, Courtyard Marriott visitor. You're listening to the hilarious Rock Paper Podcast.
Yeah, this is Rock Paper Podcast with Shane and his guests. You will listen to what he says. Shane will drive to your house and bring you brownies and talk for hours. It's Rock Paper Podcast. Tell me why it's nothing but a podcast. Tell me why we're making this for your ass. Tell me why all you gotta do is download Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, hanging out in St. Louis, Missouri with Adam Ray.
At the Courtyard Marriott, baby.
Yeah. Adam just wrapped up his weekend at the Westport Funny Bone.
That's right.
And
By the way, has the Courtyard Marriott gotten a shout out on the podcast before?
I believe that's the first one, man.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not the last, because you guys are killing it. Quick shout out to Diane, who runs the bistro. You got me coffee every morning, and told me on the second day staying here when I said, charge it to the room, baby. And she goes, what room would that be? And I go, 139. And she goes, 839? Baby, you up in the clouds. We don't even have 4 floors, baby. And I was like, 139. And she goes, oh, shit, I thought you said 8th floor. I was going to say, you up in the clouds. And I was like, well, you did say that, in fact, which is why I was laughing. And she goes, are you crazy? So the customer service is on point.
Yeah.
The laughs are at an all-time high for the Courtyard Marriott staff. And the coffee was okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's hotel coffee. You can't expect, just because there's a Starbucks in here doesn't mean it's going to be Starbucks quality. And but yeah, so far it's been a great weekend. You saw the show tonight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was a good time. Rob Durham, Max Price opening up the show, some buddies, and
Yep, crushed it.
Yeah, man, good times.
Well, thanks for having me on, Shane.
Yeah, that was
all right,
it.
thank you so much,
cool.
guys.
Yeah, thanks. To prepare,
Yeah.
I listened to the Goo Goo Dolls' greatest hits.
Nice, dude.
So,
Nice. So you're, yeah,
I'm ready for any references you want to
perfect.
throw out there for me.
Unfortunately, I only know, well, I mean, there's a lot of Goo Goo Dolls hits if we really want to break it down, but I don't know any specific albums. I just know, I mean, obviously Iris is a classic. I reference it in my act, but it's also, you know, it also is like one of those songs that, like, hey man, it's a tearjerker of a song.
Sure.
Like the lyrics, I don't want the world to see. Like that's depressing when you really think about it. I think about it like a guy just jerking off in a windowsill, looking at like a fire station or like a Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I don't want the world to see me, and that's why he's up there.
Right.
You know, instead of like
That
in
old
public
story.
jerking. Yeah, that classic Goo Goo Dolls music video. Well, that's great, man. Yeah, so you probably have heard me reference the Goo Goo Dolls with Brad.
I'm a huge fan of your podcast,
Thanks, buddy.
About Last Night podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, so I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, I met Ryan Sickler for the first time.
Nice.
He was at Blueberry Hill in the Duck Room.
Awesome.
And came in town. I think he had some kind of wedding or something going on, and but he did a set there and crushed it, and got to hang out and talk to him and introduce myself. And he's a big part of why I do the show. I met Larson at Westport Funny Bone a couple years ago.
Nice.
And he said, "Hey, check out my podcast." And I'd known of podcasting, just seeing it on iTunes and whatnot, but I never actually listened. And when I met Larson and he said, "Listen," I was like, "All right, I'll check it out," because I liked him.
Yeah.
And I started listening to Crab Feast.
Yeah.
Crab Feast led me to About Last Night.
Right.
And then I started listening to your guys' stuff, and
nice.
And anyway, so it's pretty awesome to get to hang out, talk to you,
Hell yeah.
and talk to Ryan.
Hell yeah.
And you guys are a big inspiration for me even doing this show, and so
thanks, man.
Yeah. So
well, you're inspiring for us, man. When I was 10 years old, I didn't even know who Shane was.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hope in 23 years I can do his podcast in my hotel.
Sure.
So, no, that's awesome.
Yeah,
man. That's. I mean, hey, we always, and I'm sure Ryan and Jay can attest to this. It's like you don't get a lot of face-to-face interaction with your podcast fans unless you are doing the road, because, or even in LA, like we get people that come up and say they like the show, but it's mostly through email or social media, and that's just not as good as face-to-face. So my first time out here, when you came up and you were like, "I love the podcast. It's it's the greatest podcast ever. Like you and Brad are the funniest guys on planet Earth." Sure. I was like, "Tone down the compliment, Shane. You're making it weird." And no, it was. It's way cooler. It's much more stronger of an impact. It makes us feel cooler about doing it when you can see like the genuine joy in someone's face talk about it. So
yeah. So for you, how'd you get into it? Just was it
the podcasting?
Yeah.
Well, I'd known Brad for a while because it was number 15 on my bucket list was be friends with a little person by age 40, and Dinklage was like not, I don't run in the same circles as he does. He doesn't do stand up, which was big, and I met Brad. I did a USC stand up. USC is where Brad and I both went, University of Southern California, and after I graduated, there was a USC comedy competition for past and present students. Brad was judging it because he'd been doing stand-up, I think, 5 years at this point. I think Brad's been doing it 12, and I've been doing it 8, so he's got 4 years on me. And he had been doing it, so he judged it along. He judged the basically the auditions, and then so he was like the Simon Cowell, and then the actual judges were Jeff Ross and Russell Peters, and then Brad hosted it, and I met him there, and he was like, "Hey, you're really funny." And then I saw him at the comedy clubs. And then we kind of just shot the shit. And then he was like, "Hey, I got these road gigs. You want to come with me?" Because, for dudes, I've always said it's like if you get along with sports and comedy, you have those common interests, and you're not a piece of shit, then like you can bond pretty quick. Yeah. It's girls need excursions. They need to like go on some sort of getaway. Like if we go wine tasting this weekend, I think we'll all become like better friends because we'll find our spirit animals. We'll find out we'll get out of our comfort zones a little bit. What you just heard is why the Courtyard Marriott lobby is the best place to record a podcast. Because you never know what's going to happen. People are dropping plates. There's TVs on. There's business meetings going on. There's podcasts.
Got a bonfire over here.
We got a bonfire. So then Brad goes, "Hey, I got an opportunity to do a podcast, and I don't want to do it by myself. Do you want to do it with me?" And I never thought about doing a podcast because I think I just recognized how saturated the podcast world was getting, and I, for whatever reason, and lesson learned, I just was like, I don't want to do what everyone's doing. And it's like, well, just because like you don't want to talk about like relationships in your stand-up act, it's like again in the example, it's like, well, you're going to have a different approach to it. Like whatever your voice is going to be like, you're going to bring something different to that genre or topic of conversation. And so I thought about that with podcasts. Like, oh, well, shit, Brad and I are good buds. We have that to separate ourselves from people right away, because a lot of the podcasts that were out were just one person, for the exception of like Corolla, but like Maron's by himself and Rogan. And then it just became a fun thing. And then you realize, too, you need more than just stand-up these days. And I've been doing a lot of, web sketches, working for Funny or Die, and just a lot of my own YouTube stuff, and then stand-up and trying to get acting going. But it was like you can't, it was great to have more stuff on your plate to help sell yourself, Sure. And also it was great to meet people, and it was just another skill set that I was like, I'm sure getting good at podcasting or interviewing will come in handy. And it's the one time I've done late night couch for on Craig Ferguson when the Heat came out. Having 2 years of podcast under my belt was like a huge help, and it's just made talking to people so much more effortlessly. Is that the right word? Fuck. It's the second time tonight I've stumbled on a word and then just abandoned my attempt. But it's the St. Louis air, man. Yeah. You guys, it's too clean. Because LA, I'll go back tomorrow and I'll be like, oh, that's right, I'm gonna die in 20 years because I'm breathing in so much exhaust, and just the smell of dreams happening and not happening.
All right.
But anyway, so Brad and I started jamming on the podcast, and then it just became really fun. That's why we do it in the first place. And then you start having realizing that you we can get some cool people on the show. Let's start reaching out and not just getting the friends we know, but let's shoot for the stars, and let's ask Melissa McCarthy, and let's ask Bob Saget, and let's ask Dan Cook, and my boy Adam Devine, and Krista Leah, and Whitney Cummings. Let's take a shot and take advantage of the relationships that we've built with these people, and then it's once you get a handful of those people on, then it's that's what makes it able to reach out to Lisa Kudrow and Howie Mandel, and now Jay Leno, knock on wood, we're going to get in January, and it's but there's just the lesson for me in all that was oh, cool, you didn't want to do something, or you found a reason to not do it, and then you went against that and you did it, and now it's become a big part of your life. And I get to hang out with Brad a couple times a week, and that's always great because you got a handful of good buddies as you go through this business that you really connect with and stick with, and we get along really well, and it's fun to hang out with the guy and also do work with him,
Yeah, man, I totally get that's exactly how I feel with this show. For me, it's a great excuse for networking, man.
Yeah.
I get to meet all kinds of people all around town.
Yep.
On my show particularly, I try to focus on St. Louis music and comedy, and I try to shine a light on all my friends around town. So,
yeah.
But occasionally, a guy like yourself, or I recorded with some national musicians that come through and stuff. So whenever
the Bare Naked Ladies.
No.
All right,
wish, man. That's pretty high up there. I don't know.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Harlan Williams, his cousin is in the Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the lead singers.
Yeah.
A little fun trivia fact.
Yeah.
If you're playing your Bare Naked Ladies drinking game at home,
right.
there are some bands like that I feel should think outside the box as far as like a Bare Naked Ladies board game. I'm not going to say I'm going to go out of my way to buy it, but if you had it right now and we're hey, after the podcast, you want to get down on some Bare Naked Ladies Monopoly, I'd be like, what the fuck did you just say? Yes, and I want to be I still want to be the thimble, if that's possible. Or Bare Naked Ladies Pinball Machine.
Sure.
Again, Shane, you're looking at me like I just pulled my dick out, and I don't appreciate the lack of support that you're giving me with my game ideas.
Right. Yeah. The possibilities here.
Thank you.
We could have Twister. All of them.
There you go. See, now was that tough to just get on board with the idea train?
What Trouble? We could have
Trouble.
Yeah, we could. There we go. Connect 4.
Yep, Connect 4. Don't sleep on Connect 4.
Yeah.
What a great game that was. Do you have a favorite childhood game? What got you through the rainy days in St. Louis? And don't say a video game. I'm talking classic board games before we got locked in to pushing buttons.
I do recall we played some Monopoly. My dad had I don't know if he made it, I forget, but it was a solid wood Monopoly board, hand painted and stuff. So it was really a
homemade Monopoly board.
Yeah, it was
shit.
It was a piece of 2x4 and hand painted with all the different the same thing, but it was just it was a lot cooler than just the cardboard version out of the box. So
yeah,
so
that's awesome. Yeah,
so we played some Monopoly. I don't know, man. I played a lot of basketball. So
you are 6'5"?
4, yeah.
Man, yeah.
I tried to. I played growing up, man. I played a ton of basketball with my buddy Sean. We were neighbors, and
Hoops all the day, yeah.
Man.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
I was big. Of course, this is the Bulls dynasty was it was huge. I was, and that's
You're a big Tony Kukoc fan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Actually, Steve Kerr, man.
Hell yeah.
So.
Wait, were you a big man that shot the three, or?
Yeah, I shot some three. Until my 8th grade coach was like, "You shoot another three, you're gonna sit on the bench." And
what the fuck? What?
Yeah, well, he wanted me, being the biggest guy on the floor, he wanted me down
low,
getting the boards and
yeah,
stuff.
dude. If Hakeem Olajuwon was shooting threes, you
Right.
probably, you would understand the coach's problem with that.
But
why didn't you go pro?
I don't know. That's the $1 million question, man.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Drugs?
No. Actually, I grew like 4 inches in a month, like going into 8th grade.
The girls must have loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were like, Shane's got, it's only 2 inches down there. And then you were like, well, now it's 6, baby. So get on the Shane train.
Yeah, Shane train's coming for you.
Dude, why'd you have to look at me like that when you said that?
Oh, sorry about that.
All right, so you grew 4 inches, and then you were like, all right, now I got a chance.
Right. Yeah, but then I started having a lot of knee problems. So I, like sophomore year, I guess I started. Freshman year, I guess I quit. And I gave it up. So
it's all injuries, man.
Yeah.
That's why Rebecca Lobo didn't, have the career everyone thought she was going to do.
But yeah, I don't know. I still love the game, but I don't get to play nearly as much.
For sure.
Didn't you play like on a
comedy basketball league?
Yeah,
for sure. A bunch of comedians. Now I don't play as much anymore because I'm busy on Monday nights, but that's when the game was. I think it's going to shift to a different night. But the first 3 years of this league I was in were the best times because, just everybody was playing, and the games were really competitive. And my team was awesome. We just formed a great team, and we got to the championship the first 3 years, lost all 3 years, 2 of them at the buzzer. Really heartbreaking too. Sports are just so. It made me really miss, and it still makes me miss the lack of participation nowadays. Because, if you've played sports or you're a sports fan, you just have that competitive edge in you all the time. And if you don't have an outlet for it, I think that's why you end up having road rage or other shit. Like you need to have an outlet for it. And it was really great to because I was super competitive in high school and even intramurals in college, but to have a league and still be able to play and have other buddies of mine that could play and and the respect too, it's so great because there were comedians that were playing that league that I got to know through the basketball league, and they see on the court and it was like you become buds through that, and then you be on a show together, and then they see you do your thing there, and then it's just like comedy and sports. If there's a mutual adulation on both ends, and it's like a great way to build a friendship. But I was also way too into it. It's like that was the flip side. It was like I'd be talking to my mom leaving a show, and I'm like, we fucking lost, and god damn, I was getting drilled down low, and the ref was calling us bullshit. I got a technical. She's like, why are you taking it so serious? Are you getting paid? And I was like, well, no. And she's like, well, not with that attitude. And I'm like, no, Mom, we just don't get paid. I was like, there was a ref in a wheelchair who was just calling me for everything. And she's like, well, why was he in a wheelchair? And I'm like, I don't know. This is a great question. Can we call the front office? And you just get very competitive, man. If you have that competitive thing in you, it's just there's a lot of room for, unorthodox behavior. Like screaming at a ref in a wheelchair. I did that. And then for sure felt bad about it afterwards. It's not like I said that was a bullshit call. How do you know what it's like to travel? I didn't say shit like that, but you don't even know what a travel looks like. But it was anyway, it was good times is what I'm trying to say.
I worked part-time for the YMCA, and I would run the scoreboard for the
nice
men's basketball league. And I watched this grown man throw a temper tantrum in the middle, somehow he fell on the floor, foul, and he's pounding the floor and kicking his feet and screaming at the refs sounds like he's about to cry and telling them to call something. And I was like, man, that's taking it pretty seriously. You're really getting into this game.
Fuck
man.
Yeah.
But that happened. That was a 40-year-old man throwing a tantrum on the
floor.
So,
yeah, I will be that guy in 7 years for sure. I played in a rec game, my dad used to live on this island called Kwajalein, which is about 4.5, 5 hours east of the South Pacific of Hawaii, middle of nowhere, right? A 2,500 person island. And he was a doctor out there for a handful of years, and I went to visit him, and played in this basketball game with this guy named it was a guy's name, but it was also like a girl's name, like Leslie. It was like a dude named Leslie, and you were like, no, I don't like this at all. And he was so like cheap and dirty, and it was all young kids in these games. It was high school kids, and they had a good high school team, so I would get to play in their pickup games. And this guy, I remember him like elbowing a kid down low for a rebound and then being like, Jesus, Leslie, like take it down a notch. And he was like, you gotta box out, bitch. And he was like 45, and I was like, oh, I hope I'm never this guy. A, I hope I'm never a man named Leslie, and B, I hope I don't have a shitty attitude on the court post prime.
So I wanted to also ask you. I've heard a little bit through listening to the podcast, but you're also a big Stern fan, right?
Love Stern.
Yeah,
he's the man to me. I mean, I feel like I've learned so much interview-wise from him.
Definitely.
Just you listen to the best. You just you try to take and just absorb as much as possible of that, and not completely emulate, but because on the About Last Night podcast that I do with Brad Williams, we don't we don't get too deep and introspective, but if we will touch on some serious stuff, and always keep it real light though. We want it to be an escape for people, and I think that's why people enjoy it, because they feel like they're just kind of hanging out with us and we're shooting the shit, But Stern is really good at riding that line too, and he just asks great questions. And I feel like that's, in a good interview when you can bring up something, and he's an amazing listener, and that's I think what I get most from it. And it's, listening and acting, man, is like 90% of it, and listening in any conversation, and stand up is a big part of it. Like listening, reading the room, and listening to the crowd, and constantly getting engaged for how they are with you, especially with crowd work, which I've really became a big fan of as far as having it in my act on a nightly basis. And if you're not listening, man, you're not, it's going to sound like cheesy, but you're not present in anything if you're just not really, and in an age when there's so much to distract us, it just becomes even that much more crucial to anything creative.
Yeah. Well, I got big on after high school. Started working construction for a little while during the mornings, and
also perfect time to listen.
Yeah, so I started listening when he was still on terrestrial, and then I immediately went to satellite with him. And I'm a big, huge fan. I love listening to the show, and everybody totally agree with you, man. Like that, he's has a lot to do with it. Yeah. Also, I try to learn from him every time I listen to an interview, and try to grow and be better at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
I would love to be on Stern. Shuli Agar hit me up on Twitter once and had me record some Johnny Depp impersonations for a segment about Eric the actor, and they were going to play it, and I don't think they ended up using it, but man, I was totally geeked out about it, just putting it together for it. But
I know there's a St. Louis guy, Mike McRae, that does some impressions on the show.
Yeah, Stern's a big impression guy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's kind of crazy because, he doesn't really give the guys credit that,
totally.
They totally.
That's part of the, mystique.
Yeah, they stick to the bit, and even Evil Day Letterman and stuff that, they don't ever say his real name.
And I think there's something cool about that,
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's funny how many people do I know that. That hit the press, the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, about blowing up the moon and all that.
Totally. Stern gives so much props and shout-outs to the guests that he has. I mean, he's got such a giant audience that, can really impact a film opening or a new CD. So he gives people their credit. So I think, he's got to have some sort of stuff that's all right, this is just mine. He can't be constantly just be pimping people's shit out.
Yeah.
But,
how do you feel about some of the stuff he said about podcasts and things? He's not really much a fan on it.
No, he's not, and he just came up in a different time, man.
Sure.
So
I feel though it would be different. I think if obviously he's doing but essentially what he's doing is a form of podcast.
Yeah.
It's a new medium. It's uncensored. It's unfiltered.
He paved the way for us for sure. Maybe he just is so used to being the king of all media that now that there's other kings of media, I don't know, or other royal subjects in the. I don't know. He's the man. There's nobody. There's only one star, but maybe he feels territorial over it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
He also just, he's been doing it so long. You probably at some point, when you've got it all, you got to find things to fucking gripe about,
Well, I don't know. I don't think there's any shortage of that. There was like a supercut the other day on the show where like they it was one of those like just closing out the show kind of thing, and it was all Stern. I hate movies. I hate TV. I hate it's like all the different things he's ever said he hated, and like they kind of just smashed them all together. And it was pretty good. So
yeah, he's the best.
Yeah. We talked about you on a show episode a while back. My friend Libby was on the show, and she said she saw you on that New Kids on the Block cruise.
Oh shit!
She's the one that wears the neck brace. Was involved. With
I met her as soon as I got onto the boat. She was like interviewing the band like as a character, right? Like as a super fan.
Yeah, Aunt Claudette is her character that she does, and she won some kind of contest, submitted like a video to Donnie, and got to come out and hang out and do all this, and so yeah, it was fun to kind of talk to her about her experience of it. And
did she see me perform on the show?
Yeah, she said she saw your and then like she said you did some kind of song, and it was like totally perfect. It like captured everything
that's good.
About the boat and stuff.
Yeah, so Joey McIntyre, who's my buddy, who's in the New Kids on the Block, who did the Heat with, and we became buds, and he was like, "We got this concert cruise. You want to come on it? There's 3,000 women and bananas, and you take a cruise and go to the Bahamas or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, man, but let me see what the Backstreet Boys are doing first, because I've got my boy band, commitments elsewhere." No, it was a shit show. These women, mostly in their late 30s, 40s, some 50s. One 72-year-old woman who propositioned me if I could get her a Joey Mac autograph. She's like, "You can have your way with me," and I was like just drunk enough to where I was like, "Man, should I do it for the story?" But then I was like, really sized her up and was like, "No, man, like, I wasn't, still too sober." 72. That's a vast difference. Like, that's 40 years. Like, there's a lot of. We're not going to see eye to eye on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Emotionally, sexually, but again, like the same way I had trepidations about doing a podcast, maybe I should have.
Sure.
Put my hand up against the don't do that and go do it,
Yeah, don't knock it till you try it, right?
Wow. I mean, or try it and then don't ever fucking touch it again. My future, I'm going to go get it. Yeah,
sure.
So I'll pick up with the New Kids story when I come back.
You're up. So we're back.
Yes. So what was I saying? Oh, so the didn't fuck a grandma, and so then, but the cruise was crazy. I mean, it was just these women are escaping their lives and their families, and they go bananas and don't pace themselves, and they're all hammered within 20 minutes of being there. And
she said something like she didn't sleep for like 3-4 days.
Oh, for sure. I slept the first night just to get one in, and then it was up till 7 a.m. every night, every morning, and but yeah. So the end of then Joey did this thing called Duets at Dusk, where people submitted videos to sing a duet with him in front of the whole 3,000 people on the patio of the boat, and I was like, Joe, I want to do something and find a fun ballad to make up a song to, and so this guy Rob Lewis, who produces music with Boyz II Men and Christina Aguilera and the New Kids. The lighting just went down. The mood is getting set for this podcast even harder. This is the most romantic podcast I've ever done. So then Rob Lewis, I go, Rob, do you know what are some good ballads that you know? Like, do you know Casey and JoJo's All My Life, like something? And he's like, man, we got to practice. It's literally like 5 minutes before I'm going to go up. And he said, we got to practice. I'm like, I'm real good at just riffing off the cuff. And I wrote some lyrics, real quick, and I'll just make them up to you. Like, we'll be good. Just, follow me. I'm good at listening. And he's like, man, I feel better if we practice, because he practiced with all the people, all the contestants. So then I asked one of the other music guys, I go, I have Say Something by, Say Something and I'm gonna fucking whatever with you. And I think it's Sam Smith or who sings that? Somebody covers it. I think it's a Sam Smith cover. Who sings that, though?
It's A Big World or something like that, and it's got Christina Aguilera.
Is that the original song?
I think the band's A Big World or something like that.
So Say Something. It's I think I have it. Say something. So what's this shit? Oh yeah, A Great Big World and Christina Aguilera. Yeah. Say something or I'm gonna puke on you. Like that's what I did. And they basically like sang about, you know, the girls falling down the stairs and all this shit. And just saying very relatable stuff. But anyway, so Rob, I asked the other musical dude, I go, what about Say Something? He goes, dude, he actually plays that with Christina all the time, so he'll know that for sure. And I was like, perfect. Literally as I'm walking down and Joey's introducing me. And then we did it and it crushed and it was a lot of fun. And you know, it was very, it was a crowd pleaser. I sang about them and then buttoned it up with how great all the new, the blockheads, which is what they call themselves, all the fans were. But an unreal experience. And again, like, something that I was kind of like, no, whatever, I'm not going to go. But then I was like, oh, go, because you'll get material from it, stories, and like, this is the time in your life. Having no kids and no girl right now is great because it's, I can put all my time and energy into the career and then be able to do things like that and not think twice about it.
Yeah, definitely. I saw you on the Brent Morin special.
Oh, nice.
That was pretty funny. The little intro to the special.
Brent's the best. That special was awesome.
Yeah.
And he crushed it. And I've pretty much started with Brent, and again, just a handful of buddies that you just really become good buds with, and he's the man, dude. It's it genuinely makes me laugh, and he, since we pretty much started, it's like then you get an hour special, and he asked me to come out and open for him and be in it, and I, cool. I was like, I just finished Ghostbusters, and I was like, I'm already on the East Coast, so come down from Boston to New York, and yeah, that was awesome. It, especially just to get to have a lot of specials. What I like are when they really have some cool, like Brent really allowed for a full scene to happen beforehand.
Yeah.
Sometimes people, like Brad Williams is about to shoot his second Showtime special, and we're going to do a little bit beforehand, but it's going to be real quick. But I like that Brent really, wrote out a 3-5 page scene, and we got to really, act, and it was fun, man.
Yeah, you're like, he asked you if you had a pass, and you're like, what is this, gym class?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's like, it was pretty good, though. Yeah, so if you haven't checked out Brent's special, go on Netflix, check it out, see you had him on there.
Yeah,
I just watched that Tom Segura one.
Oh, I haven't gotten to that yet, but Tom is one of my favorite comics. I bet it's amazing.
No, it's pretty fantastic, man. He does another long intro like that, and it's. I
did see the intro.
Yeah, you saw that?
That was incredible.
Oh, man, I laughed so hard watching that.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
And again, it just makes the whole special. It's like, why not take advantage of that? People, it just adds. If people are going to watch it, they're going to watch everything. Yeah. Like that you're including in the special. So,
Yeah, it was great. So we kind of mentioned a bit like you worked on The Heat, and I saw Spy just recently.
Oh, nice.
I was a little late to that one.
Saw my little cameo.
Yeah, that was.
Actually, I don't know if you can call it a cameo if you're not famous. It was a moment.
Yeah.
But in the director's cut of the unedited version, I have got, I think, 4 or 5 more lines than I do in the regular one. So.
Yeah.
But hey, Paul Feig just puts me in his shit after The Heat. He just said, do you want to come to Budapest and do this? And it's only a few lines. And then Ghostbusters, I got to do a lot more, and some other cool shit that I'm doing for it that I can't say yet. But that's a guy you don't want to get in the business of saying no to, even if it is something small. And because I said out of the Spy thing, it put in his head that this guy's down for whatever, and so he gave me a really cool part in Ghostbusters that a lot of really great funny people could have done, and he just he thought of me. So
I was watching Heavyweights.
Yeah,
not
great
too
movie.
long. Yeah, like.
Paul's in that.
Yeah, he's in it, and then I realized it was written by Judd Apatow.
Yeah,
which it's one of those things like when I watched it long ago, something I didn't pay attention to.
Totally.
But now these guys are huge names in the business, and it's just like kind of crazy to see some of their early stuff, and of course I love the movie.
Yeah.
I totally relate to
a
lot of it.
For sure, me too.
So,
hiding candy underneath your bunk bed. I mean,
right.
Not one to jump rope.
That one kid that's got it stuck to his
dude.
They put
he's like one of those old school guys with the trench coats when they open it up and they're like, you want to buy a watch? But instead it was like, you want to buy a Kit Kat?
Hey kid, get the salami off my back.
A lot of great quotes from Heavyweights.
Oh yeah, it was.
Don't sleep on that movie for sure.
For sure.
It was overlooked for the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
There should be a special award show for underrated Disney movies.
Yeah.
Not just Disney movies, but like Heavyweights or Hook with like Robin Williams or shit. I don't know, man. Like if there was a category of like Rookie of the Year, I would put, best comedic perform Daniel Stern in Rookie of the Year. You know.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you heard "Funky Butt Lovin'" in a movie? So,
dude,
that's what I want.
I mean, how many times do I say that to myself before I go to bed? When I wake up and I just greet myself with a "Funky Butt Lovin'" quote. Yeah, amazing, dude. Every kid was like, dude, I mean, and also it was one of those things too that was like so funny and such a weird phrase that like teachers didn't know how to react. They were like if you said that on in the classroom, like "Funky Butt Lovin'," they'd be like, "What the fuck did you just say?" Like, go to the principal's office. Like, no, I said funky.
Yeah.
And butt lovin' is just, those are both actually clean words.
Yeah.
It's just when paired together, they can come across a little more crass than expected. Butt lovin', I mean, yeah, for sure. Like, butt lovin' by itself is, a kid shouldn't be saying that because it is insinuating anal, is basically what you're saying. But funky butt lovin', that kind of diffuses the anal insinuation.
Sure.
And by the way, anal insinuation is playing at the St. Louis Arboretum, the opening of the Arboretum next week. Anal Anything is a good band name. Like, Anal Anything.
Yeah.
If Anal Anything was opening for the Goo Goo Dolls, I'd travel around the country to see them.
We have a band here in St. Louis. They go by Funky Butt Brass Band, and I think it's one of the best names.
Funky Butt Brass Band?
Yeah,
it's a mouthful.
Yeah, they're like a New Orleans style, brass section, and it's they're fantastic, man.
I love that.
Yeah. How was Ghostbusters?
It was great.
Yeah,
it was the best week of my life for sure.
Man.
I mean, getting to be in a big movie and have a really cool part, and it was with all the Ghostbusters, my scene, so I got to kick with all them, and I got to know Melissa pretty well, and Leslie Jones I've known from stand-up, and Kate McKinnon, I sat in the makeup chair with her every morning, and so got to know her, and Kristen Wiig was cool as shit, and again, just getting to a point too with Paul Feig where it was like he gave me a lot more shit to do in this one, and just trusted like, oh, Adam's down for whatever, and he can handle anything, and I crushed it for him, and I felt also, like in the heat, I was very, I got comfortable about a weekend from the month of being able to improvise and being like, oh, cool, yeah, I should be here. Like, but the first day I was pointing guns at Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy, and I was definitely like, what the fuck, man? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and then you settle in and laugh on some improvs. It's like, oh no, I'm supposed to be here, Yeah. And then and then Spy was just a little something, but he still, had trusted me to do it. And then with this one, it was just so much different shit and a lot of just unique things that like I have in my repertoire as far as like singing and doing some stunt stuff and being very comfortable with him to like discuss moments and pitch him joke ideas, and it was really awesome to walk away and go, oh, I felt like really. I wasn't overwhelmed. I definitely had moments where I'm stepping back and looking at the whole production and being like, holy shit, man, like this is fucking a $163 million movie. This is Ghostbusters. Like Paul Feig is the fucking man for movies right now, and to be a part of that was cool. But then it definitely wasn't as overwhelming as it was the first time around because just like anything, the more you do of it, the more you're gonna settle in. And
sure, man.
Yeah. So it was great though, and Boston is the coolest place to shoot a movie, and I think it's going to do really well. I wish it was coming out sooner than July, but shit, man, we're already in January, so we'll be here soon.
That's one thing. I'm sure for you too. You've been crazy busy with all your projects and stuff, but like, time is just flying by, man. I work my day job. I do this as much as I can, and like, I just it's crazy when I sit down and think like, oh man, it's like already been a year and all this stuff. Like, it's nuts.
I know.
So, but yeah, so July will be here in a blink, and we'll be talking about how great the movie was. And
I think so, man.
Yeah.
I think people are gonna love it, and if they don't, then shit, man, go back and watch Heavyweights.
Yeah, sure.
Because that's a movie that will always fill your heart.
Classics.
Yeah, dude, Fat Kids and Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
It really is. God, it really is an underrated movie.
Yeah, that
Stiller's performance could have been nominated. You know?
Yeah, even as his own dad, like he played 2 characters in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
and his dad was in the movie. So
Yeah, dude.
that was,
Stiller family is they've got comedy in their blood.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a classic line from there is, we're going to turn you guys all into skinny winners. Did he just say skinny wieners? I'm like,
Classic Disney like record scratch you know mishearing the word and having it be, yeah. I mean that's like Funky Butt Lovin'.
yeah, sure.
Disney loves for a kid to say like, did he say like flabby twats? Like, no, he said, you know, flapjacks, and it's like, oh shit. Well, I heard flabby twats. Go Disney. You know.
Jeez.
I don't know what movie I was quoting. Where flabby twats
sure.
was
I forget that
probably one of the Air Buds or
maybe Mighty Ducks 3.
Mighty Ducks 3.
Yeah.
Gordon Bombay's like, you guys are playing like a bunch of flapjacks. Did he say flabby twats? Not even close.
So, doing your show, who do you feel was your the most rewarding guest? Like the one you were really proud about? Because I know you've had some pretty huge moments on the show, but
On our podcast?
yeah, what's the personally which one you probably most proud of?
Oh man, well, getting to go interview Tony Danza in New York City as Tony Danza was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Just because I've been so fascinated with him in my life for a while.
yeah,
And so the fact that it actually happened, it was really awesome. And that definitely is a highlight. But then Dana Carvey has been a hero of mine, and shit, man. Even guys like Harlan Williams, who I was always such a fan of, and then became friends with, like just to be sitting down with him, because I learned so much from Harlan, like being on the road with him for a couple of years, and that's when I really became a fan of crowd work and saw how great it can be, and not, the roast. I'm definitely not a roaster, but I can be a little bit of a smart ass, and you have to be. You can't be with crowd work. You can't be so nice all the time. Like you have to be in control, and people do want to feel. I think they want to be like, oh yeah, I trust this guy, and I definitely don't think I could do what he's doing, and he's got the show under control, and if it does get out of hand, he'll be able to maneuver through whatever's happening, and you have to have a little bit of an edge to what you're doing to get that across. But Harlan is just like the best, and every show was so different, and the way he weaved material and then crowd work in. And made the show more full that way. It was always very appealing to me. I was like, I think that's what I want my show to be like. When I start headlining.
What was, I can't think. I was trying to think of it now. Just but what was the guy's name that Brad does an impression of him and stuff, and he like represents a lot of comics.
Barry Katz.
Barry Katz. Yeah, man. That was for me. That was one that I was really interested in. Like it was very intriguing to listen to his side of comedy and stuff. And
dude, he's been in the business for. The people he's represented, and the stories he has. And it was like that's why he had to do 2 parts.
Yeah.
What did you find from that episode that you resonated with the most? Or that you...
I just like I said, I'm a huge fan of comedy myself, but like just hearing some of those stories and like kind of like the advice that he offered, especially even to you guys, and as you guys are working at it. But like I just thought it was really great radio, and I passed it on to a couple of my local buddies that are.
Oh hell yeah,
and
dude!
I'm like, you guys, I think you guys could all benefit from listening to this. So
I appreciate that. I mean, that we both. What's cool is I think Brad and I genuinely got something out of it listening to it, where we were like, he's just been in it so long that he's got such, deep pockets of experiences, and he's also very astute about like recounting all the things he's done, and is able to look at them with such a sharp perspective of like, here's why this was good, here's what I learned from this, and here's when this happened, and he just remembers so many details. And,
definitely, yeah.
He's a great storyteller, and he's got a voice, dude, that's just like
be undeniable, right?
Dude. Yeah.
And that's how I. That's probably one of the biggest parts I took away from that. Like, that kind of resonated with me where, like, with this show, like sometimes there's not opportunity. You know, I try to reach out, something doesn't happen, but that just pushes me to continue to grow, to get to that point where I can be undeniable.
Yeah.
And get that guest or get that whatever I'm looking for and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah,
Well, definitely. I mean, you know, when you reached out to me for the podcast, and I mean, you know, and I mean, what would you, if I didn't hit you back, would you have just not hit me up again?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like, I try not to, like, obviously, you know, you got your own stuff going. I'm sure you probably did other things in town here, but you know, I throw it out there. If it, you know, if it sticks, it sticks. But you know, if it doesn't, I'll move on. I mean, I don't want to push too much, you know, because like then you're just gonna annoy him, kind of thing. But
well, I feel like, and I will just share this advice because I feel like it's pertinent, and you know, since I'm doing the show, but like, you know, what I found too, because you know, I book our show and about Last Night podcast, and you know, a lot of them are people I know, but I mean, right now I've been emailing with Judd Apatow's assistant for, you know, 6-7 months now, and we've been going back and forth. We locked in a few dates, things changed, but it's on me to be proactive as far as like making it happen. Like, and you know, then he says, you know, things happen. He goes, check back in a month. We check back in. Then when you don't hear something, there's a fine balance between like staying on somebody and being proactive and being, you know, overly aggressive and insensitive or whatever. And you can take a hint. Like, I've been trying to book Jane Lynch for a while too. I met her outside of a coffee shop, and I asked her, and I, you know, was very up front and told her who we've had and this and that, people that she's known and friends with, and said, could I at least get your email and start the dialogue? She's like, I'm super busy, but whatever. Started emailing. She's like, too busy right now. Then Brad ended up doing this Christopher Guest movie, met her, and she said, tell your friend Adam to stay on me because, you know, whatever. And, you know, I totally get to coming from the place of I don't want to harass, but you gotta keep in mind these people, like, you know, I, you know, met you before from the shows, and you're real, you know, good dude. And I know you, when you asked me, in my head, like I told you, I forgot to respond, but I wanted to say, like, yeah, hell yeah, let's find a time, check in. And I thought I'd done that for whatever reason. And then when I checked back at the message and saw that I hadn't responded, I was like, yeah, let's do it this time. But in my head, I was almost like, I wonder if I didn't respond, if you would have followed up, you know? Yeah. And I think lesson learned, like, you should, like, do that. Because there's no harm in asking again. If I didn't respond that second time, then maybe, like, you take a hint. But But you asked me definitely, I think, like a few weeks before I came out, right?
But yeah, as soon as I heard you announced, it was on the Guy Torrey episode. You announced that saying something about coming to St. Louis in a couple weeks, and I was like, when I heard that, I got excited, and I was like, yeah, man, I threw it out there. I'm like, hey, if it works, it works. But you know, and
then I would say like follow up, like if I, you know, like if you would, because then also because when I saw the message, I thought, oh, respond. And when I forgot, and then sometimes when there are a lot of these people that we're booking too, like it's not at the top of Apatow's list, but when I remind the system, you catch people in the right time, and then like let's say you hit me up Friday night on my show, and I go, oh fuck, that's right. Yeah. How about so and so day and time? You know, so it's like you got to be the reminder. So
there's some guests like locally, like I would say this, you're here for the weekend and stuff. There's some of the other guests, like you know how you were talking about approaching with Apatow. There's some of them I've been constantly, you know, not constantly, but I have to follow up on trying to get a response. Hey, what about now? What are you doing? Yep. You know, find out like, oh, if a musician's got a big show or you know something, or the CD's coming out, that kind of stuff. I try to follow up then, like when they got a lot to promote, and it's a good time to catch them. And,
well, like the lady who, you know, the silly fun black lady Diane, the Darlene who works here at the Courtyard. She's probably always available. You know what I'm saying? So that's somebody but even her, you probably got to follow up on. You got to show up. You get a coffee. You say, what about that podcast? She's like, sure, baby, as long as it's not up in the clouds. And then you're like, still don't know what the fuck that means. You only have 4 floors here. But you know what I'm saying? Like just riding that line of, and you know when you say like being undeniable, like what Barry says, it's like all this stuff too, like anything that you ever want to do, like falls on you, you know, like having management and people, agents and whatever to, you know, shit, knock on wood, man. I have a callback for Launchpad McQuack for DuckTales next week, right? For Disney's doing a reboot of DuckTales. Oh, wow. So I'm going back, I read for Launchpad, and I'm going back now in front of all the Disney people. And, you know, it's having my agent get me the audition was dope, but it was on me to prepare and work on that and crush it. And now it's on me to go back and sweeten them over in the room and be even better than I was before, you know, and be undeniable. So, you know, it just always is, you know, everyone needs a boost and whatever, but anything you're trying to ever get going or whatever has got to be, you know, and you got to take advantage of too, like the fact that you met me from other shows and like sort of following have been intrusive because it's like we'd already had discussions.
Yeah. Is that does that come out of all your talk about the I just blanked on the name.
Yeah.
Ducks or whatever.
Ducks.
Or what you say? The show, the Launchpad.
By the way, we would be a terrible team on $25,000 pyramid.
Man,
it's a thing that you put in a. You eat it, but you don't. But so do. But people like it. People kind of like it. Is it toast? No, man. It was pussy. But what are you talking about?
You were talking about your audition, and you saying was that from all the talk about your Launchpad stuff? Your
my audition for what?
What that show you said you auditioned for?
DuckTales,
yeah. Yeah, you said, but is that's what I was trying to think of, DuckTales.
Oh, you're talking about on the show with Barry?
No. On the podcast, you referenced DuckTales.
DuckTales, because I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, yeah.
But I'm saying,
as a kid.
Your audition, did that come out of any of all you're talking about on the show, or is that just...
No, that has happened because they did a reboot, and my voiceover agent got me an audition, and,
and it just happened to work out. You're a big fan, too?
Yeah, I mean, that's the benefit of just being in the business. It's like, there's... I mean, shit, I was a big fan of Sandra Bullock and got to, be in a movie with her. It's like that's just, once you get deep into stuff and some of these circles, I mean, and I mean, being a voice of a cartoon is definitely a huge dream, and to have it be a show that I grew up, like, loving would be unbelievable. Yeah. So, I can't help but and hopefully I can share some of those personal stories in the room and,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We'll look to close this thing out.
Okay, cool.
Man. I appreciate you doing this so much.
Hell yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks to the Courtyard Marriott for housing us.
Yeah. Shout out to the Courtyard here.
Shout out, dude.
So you can pick up Adam's album, Poptart Suicide.
Thanks, dude.
Available now. iTunes and Spotify and AdamRayTV.com, right?
You got it. Yeah, all my videos are on there. It's got a lot of some music videos with my buddy Andrew Santino and
those are great. But
thanks, man.
The Instagram stuff where he's like screaming at you.
Yeah, we're trying to turn that into something, so we'll see. And then my At Midnight appearance is on my website with Santino and Jessime Pluso, and Brad makes an appearance, and just a lot of stuff, and got a lot more videos coming and podcasts, and I'm co-hosting a show for TBS called Separation Anxiety with Eliza Schlesinger that comes out March 8th on TBS. That's going to be on every Wednesday, and then About Last Night drops every Monday, and tour dates are on AdamRayTV.com.
Yeah. When are you gonna? Are you ever gonna do some kind of reality show?
Fuck
kind of
that.
Thing with your
like
your
Celebrity
nieces,
Rehab
with your nieces though. Like, I find that stuff really funny. Just
thanks, man. Yeah, they're amazing. They're so genuinely funny, and I love like making little videos with them because they make me laugh. And selfishly, when I post them, I want to share how funny they are. But I also, it's a great, losing phones or like having videos on my computer. I've had like things, just taking the videos for myself. I've like lost stuff before, and so when I take them and then I post them, it's a way for me to always have them out there.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's the reason when I make notes for jokes, I always email them to myself. I don't do handwritten stuff anymore because I lost a couple notebooks, and it was devastating, like losing a lot of stuff. And when I email myself something, it's like, oh, if I lose my phone or my computer, I'm always gonna be able to track it down. So, but my nieces are, they're the best. I just don't want them to grow up too quick because they, even when they come home from kindergarten and they're like, Kyle gave me a cookie, and I'm like, who the fuck is Kyle? Like, and what kind of cookie? If it was oatmeal, like, he doesn't want anything because nobody likes oatmeal, but if it's chocolate chip, he's trying to get a couple, he doesn't just, he's trying to get to third base at least because chocolate chip cookie, you don't just give away a chocolate chip cookie and not want anything in return. But they're the coolest, man. And
they seem like a lot of fun.
They are, and I want them to continue to have good sense of humor. I'll probably show them Family Guy by the time they're 8.
Yeah.
Just to start to show them, like, hey, there's more than just farts and bicycles.
That's I think that's the next album. You should name that.
Farts and Bicycles.
Yeah, there you go, man. That's it.
Not a bad idea.
So, yeah, we'll follow Adam. He's got his Facebook fan page, and you can reach him on Twitter and Instagram. But yeah, man, thanks so much.
Thank you, buddy.
For hanging out.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll be back here in St. Louis before too long.
I would love that. I love the city.
So, yeah, it's always a good time here, man.
Hell yeah.
So thanks, Adam.
Thanks, buddy.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast, y'all.